between losses and gains. The November contract is up $4 at $885.30 per ton. The January contract rises $5.30 at $872 per ton. Support is coming from increases in Chicago soy oil, Malaysian palm oil, and European rapeseed. Losses in Chicago soybeans and soy meal are weighing on values. Going into next week, the Prairie weather forecast is calling for continuing warm temperatures with very little or no rain, especially for the southern and central regions. The Saskatchewan crop report shook up the markets towards the end of the Thursday session. The province's canola rates only 18% good to excellent. The Canadian Grain Commission says producer deliveries for week 50 of the marketing year are up 8% at nearly 173,000 tons. Canola exports jumped more than 380% at 97,000 tons. Domestic usage increases 19% at about 189,000 tons. The Canadian dollar is lower, with the loonie at 79.37 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 79.57. Reports point to a growing number of projections, putting total corn production in Brazil at under 90 million tons. Drought and frost have ravaged the country's second corn crop. Earlier expectations had been for the first and second corn crops to produce upwards to 109 million tons. The United States Department of Agriculture reports a private sale of 100,000 tons of soybeans to Mexico. The U.S. Drought Monitor indicates that 54% of the country is in drought. That's an improvement of 1 point from last week. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are lower on Friday. The November contract is down 7.5 cents at $13.55 per bushel. August soy oil is up more than a quarter cent at 65.27 US cents per pound. August soy meal drops back $4 at $359.20 per short ton. Corn futures are lower as well on Friday. The September contract loses 6 cents at $558.5 per bushel. Chicago oats are higher, with the September contract rising 7.5 cents at $4.62. Wheat futures are mixed on Friday. Chicago September nudges up 3 cents at $6.95. Kansas City September is up a nickel at $6.59. And Minneapolis September dips a half cent at $9.03.5. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, July 23rd. For Markets Farm in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
The demands and long days of the harvest season are ahead. So now's the time to get the equipment you need to work more productively and harvest more savings too. Visit Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John during New Holland Harvest Days for more ways to work your best and save. You'll find great deals on select New Holland tractors, hay tools, and harvesting equipment, including 0% financing and cash back. Stop by Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today for details. But hurry, Harvest Days end September 30th, 2021.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at Energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to the program. Later we'll be talking with Greg Bruce with the BC Ministry of Transportation about this new technical advisory group that the ministry is forming to discuss solutions for the aging Taylor Bridge and what that means for moving this long process forward. But first, there are 70 job openings at the Fort St. John Hospital, 150 or so in Northern Health in general, and the shifts that these openings would be filling are either being covered or are being covered somehow, I should say. So to discuss a bit about these openings and the chronic nursing shortage in the piece and the impact it is having on nurses currently working at the hospital, we're joined now by Danette Thomson, the Regional Council member for the Northeast region in the BC Nurses Union. Danette, welcome to Moose Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very grateful you took some time away from your vacation in the Shuswap to talk to us today. So a second thank you to you.
Absolutely. The issues are critical, and I do believe that our nurses' stories need to be told. So thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. Well, as I said, on top of the 70 openings, we've heard that the Fort St. John Hospital ICU has been closed since June of last year. That just came out recently. We hadn't heard that before. I want to start with this because we were discussing just how many openings this is in relation to how many nurses work at the hospital. Do you know about how many nurses are working at the Fort St. John Hospital right now?
I should have that information, and I don't. I apologize, but their shortage is very large, and but not just the hospital. I also in Peaceville as well. They are really short nurses there as well, and nurses are being forced to do double shifts and cover for each other. And we are at a critical state in the north.
Do you have a sense of kind of what the average is for nurses, like how much time they're actually working, how much extra stuff they're doing right now on top of their regular shifts?
I think everyone is doing what they can. It really depends. It varies. Many of our members, can't take short call. They need daycare and things like that lined up for their families. But everybody is pitching in to do what they can. The problem is their shifts are being worked at such high stress levels that it's like working with great amounts of anxiety all the time, and it is burning out our members. So we're in this perpetual cycle of nurses leaving the north because of the working conditions that they are working in.
Are these shifts how do you have a sense of how many of these shifts are minimally staffed as a result? Like, it's not just that they're working more, they're overextended during the shift itself because there's the minimum number of nurses required for the shift to kind of work, right?
Yeah, I would say most shifts in the north. Recently, what I'm hearing from our members is they're working short more than they're not working short. And so, yeah, just to cover baseline. And also the acuity of our patients is really, increased, and as well as the capacity, like overcapacity has been a real issue for our Fort St. John Hospital, as well as UHMBC and Dawson Creek actually as well.
I wanted to bring that up because, of course, we've also been hearing lately a lot of diversions out of the Chetwynd Hospital. That happened a lot while I was living there. It's happened a lot since then, but recently it's been even more than normal. I mean, that's pressure that's just being shifted from one place to another that's already short-staffed, essentially, correct?
Yes, Chetwynd is very much short-staffed. We've been raising that flag for approximately 3 years. It was fully staffed, and nurses were leaving because of working conditions there. They are on diversion. My messenger, my phone, my text has been going off steady. Their nurses are so concerned. The hospital has several times being staffed just by 2 LPNs, and their patients are being moved to Dawson Creek. But I'm sure you saw now that Dawson Creek has 10 days with no doctor in the ER. And so to add that stress on those nurses there who are, again, already working short is super concerning. I am so concerned for our people in the north. We deserve better care, and it's time the government and the health authority did something to help.
I'll be honest, that one was really interesting because we reached out and weren't able to get much information about that situation unfolding there. Do you have a sense of what nurses additionally would have to do when the doctor is only appearing virtually? I guess essentially all the physical labor has to be conducted by nurses if the doctor's appearing via video.
Yes, absolutely. And the emergency department is exactly that. For many patients, it's an emergency. So if I'm the patient coming in on a stretcher having a heart attack, I want to know that all hands are on deck. We have all our families are relying on the healthcare system in the north, and I just want people to recognize that I truly believe it's in a critical state.
We're talking to Danette Thomson with the BC Nurses Union here on Moose Talks. I want to talk about the mental health of nurses for a few minutes. This is all happening. We've been dealing with the COVID pandemic for some time now. This shortage has kind of existed as long as I can remember in general. What's the impact been on the working conditions for nurses, their home lives? What can you say about that?
It's heartbreaking. I can tell you that their stories are absolutely heart-wrenching. Our nurses are struggling with the things they see. They're going home. They're picturing the patients that are reaching out that they can't help. We have many off with PTSD and some things that they've seen, not just throughout COVID, but that they're being faced with because of the working conditions and the shortages. The union has actually just started some mental health resources for our own, but the government and this health authority really need to support our members. They came to the plate and we're so happy for our paramedics, but they need to do the same. This needs to be taken seriously.
Do you have a sense of kind of what the rate of burnout is? Like, how many people are choosing to leave after, not even, several years in the business because it's too much. They want to earn money and overtime, and that's all right, but it's just too far and too much for them to handle. Do you have an idea of how many people are leaving?
Yeah, I believe it's around 8% of our membership. And just regionally, I can tell you myself and my two full-time steward colleagues, there isn't a day that goes by where a nurse doesn't reach out to one of us about porting their seniority. How can they go to another health authority? So those are really, really scary statistics when, I want to beg them not to leave because I know that will leave their colleagues more desperate. But the burnout rate is super high. There's a study that's just been done by the Canadian Nurses Federation, and it shows that nurses are looking at exiting, and not just exiting Northern BC, exiting the profession.
Do you know what kind of an impact this is having on students? Maybe they're graduating high school, they're considering what's next for them. They think nursing is a good option, but then they see this happening. There's job openings everywhere. Everyone is talking about how much they're working and kind of how their home life is suffering. Have you a sense of how much more difficult it is to recruit people to this profession because of the working conditions?
There have been many seats go empty. This year, ironically, at the end of COVID, we had more applications, is what I've been told, than we actually had nursing seats. So I would have liked to have seen those seats actually, increase to get as many people in the program as possible, as quick as possible. It takes 4 years to create a nurse. This is not a short-term fix. We need to really look at the education opportunities, but I think it is really impacting. I know myself, I have this beautiful little granddaughter who's so caring and loving, and I think one day she will be a nurse, and she is fascinated by wounds and things that are weird that nurses do. But this needs to be, at the current state, I would never want her to practice as a nurse, and I think we need to change that. The other issue that has really impacted our young people and not wanting to come in is violence, and knowing, nurses, hearing those stories from our members as well. So I think we need to do some work as a province to make this something that our young people are willing to come to and wanting to come to.
Is this a problem elsewhere, or is the North really suffering more? Because you hear maybe we're so far north, people just don't want to come here for whatever reason. Is that something you're hearing and see as a contributing factor to the shortage?
There is a worldwide, or we're entering a worldwide nursing shortage currently. And by 2029, BC will need 23,000 nurses. That will be the shortage. So it's not just the North, but we were so short in 2017 when Bellringer did her Auditor General's report. The shortage she spoke of then was about 20% in rural BC. And I would think that those numbers have gone up since that report.
You've touched on this already, but what do you think the BC government and Northern Health need to be doing to ameliorate this situation, even in the short term, if they can?
I believe that Northern residents deserve the same quality of care as any BC resident. And I really believe that we need to have a direct look, direct funding. We need to create some overhire lines, some mentorship lines. We have a very young workforce in the North. They're either over, getting ready to retire, and anybody who can retire is retiring. But we also have a very young workforce who needs to be supported. And I really would like to see the government step up and have a health human resource plan and address how we're going to care for our patients going forward. We are just hitting the gray tsunami and we have no room. I hear of nurses, well, they call crying. They have 47 patients in a seniors home and 60 some at night shift on their own. Like, to me, I don't know what anybody would think that was acceptable. Those are unacceptable levels of patient care, and British Columbians deserve better. And I think all of us need to call on the government to make a change now and to invest in nurses.
What is an acceptable level of a number of patients to have, just as a sort of a comparison? Oh, Danette, can you still hear me there? Oh, it looks like we may have lost her. That's a shame. Well, we were speaking to Danette Thomson with the, she's the regional council member for the Northeast region of the BC Nurses Union. If she's still listening, we thank you for your time. Well, we're going to move on. We're going to talk to Greg Bruce with the BC Ministry of Transportation right after this on Moose Talks.
Nothing worse than hearing part of a conversation.
I said, let's put the project on.
If the cell service at camp or in the field sounds like an old movie that cuts in and out, then Petron can clear it up today. With a cell booster, your calls will be clear of...
Pardon? What did you say? Huh?
And...
Can you hear me now?
A booster in your facility will give you a clear, concise conversation that can't be misinterpreted. Call today and we'll clear up your call right away. Petron Communications, a clear choice for the North since 1978.
Equipment vehicles, RVs, ATVs, trailers, shop tools. Rhythm Auctions is now accepting equipment into their yard Monday to Saturday for their August 28th auction at their Mile 54 location behind the Chevron store on the Alaska Highway. Their unreserved consignment auction sale on Saturday, August 28th starts at 9 a.m. List your equipment now to get in on early advertising to ensure a better price. The unreserved consignment auction sale at Mile 54, Saturday, August 28th. To list your equipment, call 250-261-4198 or visit rhythmauctions.com.
Are you looking for the right individual to fill your job openings? Become an exhibitor at the Fort St. John Job Fair, September 29th at the Palmery Hotel and Conference Center. This is an opportunity for you to meet talented local people for your company. To become an exhibitor, visit fsjjobfair.ca or call 250-787-7100. The Fort St. John Job Fair, September 29th at the Palmery Hotel and Conference Center. Learn more about our COVID-19 safety plan by visiting our website. Presented by WorkBC and Moose FM.
Everyone struggles with computers. New shortcuts, plug-and-play devices that don't play when you plug them, and more. Sit back and learn some stupid computer tricks with Vern from Computer Emporium across from the Northern Grand Hotel on 100th Avenue in Fort St. John.
When you need to search for something online, do you go to the browser bar and type in google.com, wait for it to load, and then type in your search into the Google page? There is a faster way. Start by typing your request directly into the web browser address bar, just as you would in a Google search. Most browser address bars today automatically double as an online search bar. You can even set which search engine you want your browser to use, such as Google, Bing, Yahoo, and so on, in the Preferences section of your web browser. So next time you want to search for something on the internet, just type your question where you normally would type google.com, the address bar, and press enter.
Stupid computer tricks with Vern from Computer Emporium, helping you use computers more efficiently. Is heard Monday to Saturday on Moose FM.
Hi, Vern here from Computer Emporium.
ink, toner, printers, laptops, gaming parts, and accessories. We have what you need when you need it. Put us to the challenge and we will deliver. See the advantage of shopping at Computer Emporium, helping you use computers more efficiently.
Aprons, pillows, quilts, sweaters. The Sew It Yourself shop has all kinds of fabrics and all kinds of patterns for whatever it is you're sewing, plus all the craft accessories you'll ever need. The Sew It Yourself shop in the Jones subdivision on Facebook and at sewityourselfshop.com.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at Energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. Now, a hot topic, or something that's always a hot topic around here, the Taylor Bridge. The province announced last week that they're creating a technical advisory committee to discuss long-term solutions for the now ancient Taylor Bridge. What the goal is of this group and what it's all about, we're now going to discuss with Greg Bruce, the project delivery, or who is the manager of project delivery with the Northern Region with the BC Ministry of Transportation. Greg joins us from Prince George. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Dub.
Thank you very much for joining us today. So as I said, the province announced this technical advisory group or committee. Can you tell us a bit about what the goal of this group is and sort of what step it is in the process towards hopefully eventually replacing the Taylor Bridge?
Oh, yeah, you bet. So the technical advisory committee is going to help us inform local user needs. So we're really looking to bring together a group of representatives from the communities, from industry, from utilities across the board, the users of the bridge. We've got a number of different things running at the same time, Dub. So you've probably noticed some activity out on the bridge. We've had a detailed bridge inspection that's giving us, extensive information around the viability of the structure that's there. So it's a safe, reliable structure. I know there's a lot of maintenance and reliability issues with it right now, and that's certainly something that we understand. But it's safe for the needed purpose. What we're doing is taking a look at the viability of it for the future, and that's part of the process, Dub. So we need to take a look at each option and explore it and run it to ground to make sure what the best option is moving forward. That technical advisory group will help us inform what those local needs are and help inform our design and options as we move forward. It's separate from a public consultation process, which will actually be open to everyone to give us feedback. And what we're looking from the technical group is group representation that understand what the local needs are. And I would say the two run kind of concurrently with the process that we're doing. So I talked about a detailed bridge inspection that we've just completed. Right now, if you went through the project site, you'd see that we're drilling there as well right now. So work around the investigation, it's not, they're two separate things, the consultation and the field work itself.
I see. They're kind of happening at the same time. Do you have a timeline on sort of when this group is supposed to, say, present their findings, I assume in some sort of a report or something, findings, or present their points on what they would like to see? Do you have a timeline on that?
So the project as a whole you're speaking to, Dan?
Well, I speak just specifically of the group. I'm sorry, just specifically of this group. When they're supposed to tell whoever it is they're supposed to tell, I suppose, what their discussions were and what they came up with.
Right. Yeah. So the technical advisory group is expected to be over the course of the fall and winter months. Okay. And public consultation will actually run concurrent at the same time.
Okay, so we're likely going to see public consultation, if it isn't already, open up soon, and then it'll happen at the same time.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, there's been some consultation on this before, as I understand it. It was probably different in nature. I just have to ask this, and it's a political question, so I don't know if you can answer this. But, for example, Peace River South MLA Mike Bernier expressed confusion over why we need this group. He says, I mean, we all know we need the bridge now. Why is this? I guess my question for you is, why is this part of the process integral to us moving forward in it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when it's a project of this scale, we're good at what we do. We're good at planning, or at least I believe we are. And we typically have the community needs pretty well captured. Mm-hmm. A project that's this important, that's this scale of project, we go to a wider consultation model in order to make sure that we're getting it right. And this is a really, really critical piece of infrastructure for the region. And to not take that step would be a real mistake, Dub. I believe, there's community knowledge that even a technical team may not be aware of. So as we move forward, we can share the some of the detail that we've discovered with the panel, and there is very likely going to be some information coming out of that group that helps steer our direction as well.
Okay. What's next after this? So this, it ideally kind of gets completed by next spring-ish. What's kind of the next step in the process? What happens next that gets us closer to the government? Maybe the premier coming down here, standing next to the bridge, doing the big, here's what we're giving money for, that sort of thing. What happens next in the meantime?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of work. So structures like the Taylor Bridge are a really, really significant project. They take 4 to 6 years is kind of a rough guideline for a project of this size to take it from where we are today to actual construction or maybe even completion. Okay. And there is particularly in the piece, it's really, really challenging ground. I think everybody that I talk to understands that the geotechnical challenges in the piece, that canyon in particular, enhances it. So I would say that we're going to be a couple of years, like I said, the consultation process, and it's not just the bridge user group and the public consultation. We're also doing First Nations consultation as well, and making sure that we incorporate their needs. And I'm expecting a couple of years of investigation for us to take it to the place where we've got a concept. Okay. Beyond that, you're correct. I think beyond that, it's going to be work for elected officials. That's not my role to predict.
Absolutely. So when it's politically expedient, we'll hear the check announcement sort of eventually. Okay. Greg, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to tell us about this and shed some light on this process that seems like has been going on for some time, but you kind of gave us a window here, 4 to 6 years. That's something. So thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and I think I'd cap it off with I'm just really, really excited. We've done advanced work. The consultation that you talked about, it's more presentation based, to chambers, things like that. This opportunity to get out and do this work in the field is really significant.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for joining us on Moose Talks today, Greg.
Great. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
That's Greg Bruce, the manager of project delivery with the Northern Region and the BC Ministry of Transportation. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on Moose Talks right after this.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Grand Prairie auction, July 28th and 29th. This will be an online-only auction, but on-site inspection is available. Inspect and bid on hundreds of items, including a wide selection of farm equipment, construction equipment, truck tractors, trailers, pickups, and much more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers Grand Prairie Auction, July 28th and 29th. Register free and bid online. For details, visit rbauction.com.
Mom, this new iPad is so much faster than my old one.
Oh, is that right?
Totally. I told you I needed a new one. Plus, the screen was all cracked. Thanks, Mom.
You bought her a new iPad?
No, I got the screen fixed at Micro Consulting. She just thinks it's new.
Ah, well played, Mom. Up top. With Micro Consulting, you don't need to get a new iPad every time the screen cracks. It's much cheaper to come to Micro and get it fixed properly. Micro Consulting Sales and Service, keeping you connected on 100th Street and on Facebook.
If you're looking for hassle-free internet services, call the Peace Region Internet Society today. With coverage throughout most of the Peace, PRIS can get you connected quickly without the hassle of contracts or bundles. Visit PRIS.ca or call 1-800-768-3311 for more information.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
We want to thank our guests Danette Thomson and Greg Bruce for joining us today. Energeticcity.ca and the Fort St. John Co-op want to recognize people in our community working to make it better with the Co-op Community Champion. At the end of each month, we'll choose one Co-op Community Champion and we'll write a profile about them at Energeticcity.ca, and we'll throw in a $100 gift card to the Fort St. John Co-op as a little way of thanking them for their tireless efforts. We want you to help us with this though, so you can nominate that person you know who's working to make the community a better place today at Energeticcity.ca/co-op. That's it for this episode of the show. Moose Talks is produced by Adam Rayburn and Trey Lopashinsky. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.